Hello, girls. It's nice to see you today. How are you, Silvia?
Fine. A little bit tired, like I told you before, because I have a busy weekend with my family and with friends. But I'm okay right now.
Right. And Elena, how are you today?
I'm fine, lady. I am very happy that I'm here because your lessons always are awesome, and I'm waiting for a new one.
Well, you're very kind. I haven't done them for a few weeks with one thing and another, but hopefully I will be more motivated now and I will start. Right then. So there you see the title for today. Hiking injury. So do we understand hiking? It's walking. But I think it's walking like in the hills or the mountains.
Yes.
So it's not like going for a walk to your nearby park, for example. It's longer and it's more of a sport maybe, right? So you would do this at the weekend. An injury, Elena, do you know what injury is?
I'm not sure, but it's like something about to hurt yourself.
Yes, when you hurt yourself, right? So an injury is what you get when you hurt yourself doing a sport, for example, right? So an injury. So there are other words which means you hurt yourself, but it could be, for example, a cut, C-U-T. It could be a cut, so that would be a wound. But I'm not going to go off the ball. I'm just going to stay with what we're doing today. So hiking injury. So I suppose that this activity is going to be about if you hurt yourself while you are walking, right? So we will see what happens. Right, so here we have some vocabulary. So I will say the word, and if you feel confident to try and describe the words to me, you can try. And if not, I will do it myself, right? So a bandage. Does anyone want to try bandage?
I think it's like a pack or something like that. No.
Right. So imagine your hand and you hurt yourself here. You take a cloth and you put it round it, a special one, which is called a bandage. And it supports what you have hurt here, for example, or your ankle, right? So it's a narrow strip of material. It's a bit elastic maybe. And you pull it round here or around your ankle to help support the injury you have done, a bandage. We will see one in a minute. Ointment.
It's a new word for me.
Cream. Cream, right? So you would think this is like a special cream for something that you have done. So you could put ointment on a cut, ointment because you have a bruise or something like that. Painkiller.
It's like an anesthetic if you have pain.
It's like a tablet that you have to take away your pain. You have to be careful you don't become addicted to painkillers, no, because you hear that in series on television and different things. A plaster. No, a plaster.
Small piece of sticky papers.
Yeah, to cover a cut. So when you cut yourself, you would clean it and then you would put on a plaster. I think children love plasters. No, our mummy put me on a plaster. I've done something, and if it's got like a cartoon character, even more. And a thermometer.
Like to check your temperature.
To check your temperature. So sometimes things can be easy, but to define them, it's harder. So that's what you have to try and do. So Elena, picture number 1 is a
Plasters.
Plaster. This is picture number 2. Not very clear. It's ointment, maybe.
Ointment?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I would have done it like in a tube, but they put it there like for doing in your ears, no drops. These things that you go like this with your ears, this is what it looks like. It's for your ears, or maybe you put some drops in your eyes, no? Excuse me. Number 3,
Painkiller.
painkiller. And this one here, number 4,
Bandage.
bandage. And this is the thermometer. And you would maybe put them in a first aid kit.
Okay.
So, for example, in official places, you need first aid kit. It could be a box, which is bigger, or in your house, something smaller. But it's a place where you put everything so you know where it is. And first aid means the first thing you do when you injure yourself. So
Yes.
aid is to help. Right? Aid is to help. That's where the word comes from. But it's like a combination of words together, first aid. So now you have to do some work. You have to choose one of these objects and do like it says in the example. You would need a bandage if you had a bad cut and you needed to keep it clean. So bandage, you can't do that one now, it's finished. So Silvia, choose another name.
I was thinking about bandage. I was thinking about, I had a bandage because I twist my ankle, for example.
I have a bandage because I have twisted my ankle. Right, okay. But now you have to do another one.
Okay, I have a plaster because I cut my finger cooking.
Right, so I cut my finger on a knife in the kitchen. So you have put a plaster. Do you know there are special colors for plasters in the kitchen?
I don't know. No.
Blue. If you work in a kitchen as a job, you need to wear a blue one because if it falls off, you can see it in the food.
Yes. And you don't need it.
So there are special plasters. And no, but seriously, if you wear a plaster in a professional kitchen, you need to cover it with like a plastic sock for us to understand each other. So it doesn't come up.
No?
Yeah, or something special, no? But they are blue. They're a different color to normal ones. Okay, Elena, something else.
Maybe a painkiller.
Painkiller.
You could use a painkiller when you have that kind of pain that is not really dangerous, and so it's like not a stomach pain because you have to speak with a doctor before to take that painkiller. But if something normal like a headache or toothache, you can take a painkiller and stop your suffer.
Right. So you could have a painkiller for a toothache, backache, or headache, for example. But if it was something more serious, you would need some medical advice first. That's what you were saying. Right, Silvia, something else.
Okay, I put the thermometer because I began to feel sick. Right.
So when I felt sick, I used the thermometer to see if I had a temperature. Now, you need to Google it because I can't remember at the top of my head, but there's a difference between fever and temperature. Okay. And I can't remember what it is now. One, I think, for example, fever could mean it's over 36.
37.
Yeah, 37. But something like that. And then a temperature is just a little bit. So to be technically correct, if you Google it, it will tell you the difference between one and the other because I just can't remember now at the top of my head, right? So when you can't remember anything, you say, I can't remember something just at the top of my head, right? It's an expression. So we've done them all. Okay. In your house, Elena, have you got a first aid kit?
Sorry,
if you have a first aid kit in your house.
Yes, I have, because I have 3 children, so I need the same. Even if we don't use it too much, but still we have it.
Right. So even though you don't use it very often, and thankfully you don't, you do just have one there just in case. And you, Silvia?
Me too. I have 2 kids. So.
Yeah, no, I suppose so. I don't have any now, but I have a drawer full of all medicines and different things. And sometimes when I'm really bored, I go, I empty it, I look if the things are out to date, because this is what happens when you're on your own. when they're out of date, and then you have to throw them away, no? So they do
Yes.
last for a few years, but things go out of date, no? Right then, so we're going to do a reading nice and slowly, and let's see if we understand. So Sylvia, if you can start, please.
Okay. What do we do if we've hurt ourselves at home? We have many options. If it's just a small injury, we can get a plaster or an ointment at the chemist. Chemist, yes.
Chemist.
If it's bigger, we go to the doctors, and if it's a real emergency, we can call an ambulance. But what if none of those things was possible? Mark O'Brien broke his toe when he was out hiking alone, and he's here to tell us about it now.
Right,
Mark,
just 1 minute before I forget. Okay, so
Okay.
I won't interrupt you while you're speaking, and I will try to stop you in a part. Right, this word here, chemist.
chemist is
No, chemist.
chemist. Okay, farmacia,
Right.
no? Chemist.
Yes, chemist, right? So you can say pharmacy as well, but the
Yes.
British use chemist, and maybe it's the
Chemist, okay.
Americans in one. So that was chemist, ambulance, and the other one was toe.
Toe. Okay.
Okay,
Toe.
so now you can continue.
Mark, to be honest, a broken toe doesn't sound that bad, but we know it got you into a very serious situation. What happened?
Right, another difficult word, honest. We don't pronounce the H. So
okay, honest.
some words we do and some words we don't. And in Spanish, I don't think we pronounce any.
No,
And
I don't know how to.
I do what I'm not supposed to do. So I pronounce
Yes.
them in Spanish, whatever. So we have chemist, ambulance, honest, and toe.
And toe.
Okay, but
Okay.
is there any other problem we have there? Do you understand everything? I don't think it's that difficult.
No, I think I understand everything.
So it's a bit like you said, Elena, unless it's something really serious, we try and go to the chemist, and then we only go to the doctor if we really need to ask him. For example, if I have the flu or a cold, I ask the man in the chemist what I need to take. Or if I have some very simple symptoms, I ask the man in the chemist. Well, the boy, I call him the boy because he's younger than I am. But he normally gives you an idea. He shows you the brand names and you choose which one you prefer. Right then, Elena.
Hi, Carrie. Well, I was hiking on a mountain on a very hot day and I saw a river. I have good hiking boots, but I took them off to put my feet in the cool water. Big mistake. I slipped on a rock and broke my toe. It was a small injury, but the pain was terrible. I knew I had to get home fast, so I put my boots back on and tried to walk. At first, I could walk, only very slowly, and then it became so painful that I couldn't walk at all, and I had nobody to help me. So my number one piece of advice for hikers is don't go hiking alone.
Right, okay. So I don't think there's anything too difficult there. For example, I just saw it now, slipped, right? It's a way of falling. So you can imagine the rock was wet or it had some greenery or moss, yes, on it, and you slipped. So it's the way you fell. It's like on a banana skin. You would slip on a banana skin for us to understand. But I think everything else looks quite easy, right? And so they're suggesting that you should always go with somebody. Right, off you go, Silvia.
Okay. Carrie, but why didn't you just phone someone? I go ahead?
Yes, keep going.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a big lesson I learned is you can't depend on your phone. I didn't have any phone reception. There had recently been a storm, and I think that had caused problems. Anyway, my phone just didn't work. I had to spend the night on the mountain. Oh my God. Now I'm an expert in sleeping outdoors. I love it. I can build my own bed and make a fire and find food. But now I know that I can't do any of that with a broken toe.
Right, stop there for a minute. Right. So this is another thing which is important. You can't rely on your phone 100%. And sometimes we forget that. We're so used to being in inner city where we have reception that when we move a bit out of the normal way of life, we forget there's no reception. Now, this word here, mountains.
Mountains. Okay.
Right. So this is a word that everyone makes a mistake with, right?
Okay.
So you have to break it up. Mountains. I pronounce tins. I pronounce it like the tin that you have for the Coca-Cola. I pronounce it like that.
Tin.
Mountains.
Mountain.
So these are just things that just make it sound that little bit better, right? Mountains. And I don't think any other problems we have there. So Elena, if you can continue.
I just spent the night lying under a tree, extremely grateful that it was summer, not winter, and that I had food and water. I couldn't sleep because the pain in my toe was so bad. I didn't even have any painkillers. Every hiker should have a first aid kit with them, but I didn't.
I'm surprised that he didn't. Well, I suppose his plan wasn't to stay overnight.
Yes.
His plan was just a day, no? And then things got very complicated, no? So I don't think we have a problem there either. Right, okay. So now, have you or someone you know had an accident when doing a sport or a lecture activity? Right, so you have to think about that a little bit.
Yes.
I don't do a lot of sport, so I can't get hurt. So I'm frightened of hurting my back or something. So this is my excuse for not doing sport. It's the wrong excuse, but it's my excuse. Right, so Elena, can you say something about this, or you want to imagine something if you can't?
I was thinking about my own experience because I used to go to the gym and sometimes I run with my son. And the last thing I remember, we ran with my son in the park, and he's a young boy. He's 13 years old, and I'm older, because. But it was nice to run with him and to talk with him. But I felt that I'm a bit tired, not like him, and I should have stopped earlier than he. But I continued to run, and I felt not very good after that. I had a pain in my stomach, and I thought that I have to be more careful about that activity.
Right, so you were so motivated with him that you overdid it. You overdid it because you kept going with him and you didn't think about later how you were going to feel.
Yes.
And then you started to have pain. For example, I always say that when I see a person running, I always think they are suffering, but you told me no, they're enjoying themselves and they think it's fantastic, but it's something I don't understand. And you, Silvia, what about you?
I usually run. So yes, I usually run, and it's a nice thing for me. Not because I want to have a nice body. No, it's nice for me because it takes me away. I can be forget. I can be running and thinking about nothing, or I can reach a sensation of peace or something really nice.
And so you can disconnect when you're running.
Yes, I do.
And maybe because your blood is moving around your body better, maybe it refreshes your brain. I don't know, because I never run. I'm imagining the sensation, no? And what about an injury or an accident?
Yes, I sometimes, for example, I did a sport de la Legión, la carrera de la Legión, la cuna de la Legión.
So you did a long race.
A long race, 22 kilometers, and I'm not used to run so long distances. I usually run about 8-10 kilometers, and that day it was raining. It was a really bad weather. We had a really bad weather, and it was raining a lot, and I twisted my ankle. And
twisted.
Yes, right. I twisted my ankle, and after I finished the race, I had to go to the doctor, and they injected. Is that, I don't know if I can
injected,
okay, a medicine, and it was bad for me, and I've been almost 2 years with problems in my ankle.
So you started off with a simple injury, which is twist your ankle.
My ankle had a reaction with the medicine.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. You started off with a simple twisting of your ankle, which is bad enough. No, it's swollen. You need to rest it, etc. But as they injected, maybe it was a painkiller or something into your ankle, this caused more effects later on, which took you 2 years to recover from.
Yes.
This is the frightening part of medicine.
Yes.
It's like a lottery. You can be lucky or unlucky.
Yes.
Because there's a human factor taking part, because the doctor, he's not God, and things can happen because they are human and they make mistakes too. And sometimes we forget this. So from a simple race that you were taking part in, your life got very complicated.
Yes.
Right. So you will never forget that.
No.
Sorry.
No, I will never forget, and I will never inject
that liquid. So you were allergic to the liquid, or
I don't know, because it was something that when I take in pills or in my back, I don't know how to say.
Yeah.
When you are allergic, it's a medicine that they give it to you for many things, but when they put it in your
so maybe it was near the bone.
Yes, in the bone. Yes.
It was the wrong place to put it.
Okay. Yes.
So when you've had it in your backside, or you have it in
right
another place,
on pills, it's okay.
So when you take it orally, or you have it in your backside, there isn't a problem. But the man injected it into your ankle, and it could have touched the muscle or the bone or something, and that caused a second effect to you.
Yes.
Right, a second effect. Ooh. I'm just very frightened of hurting myself. Now I go swimming, and I don't think I can hurt myself swimming, I hope.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. And so that's it. I'm walking. I don't do anything else because I'm afraid. Once I had a personal trainer, I treated myself to a personal trainer, and I paid the money because of that, because of injury and the fear of it. Because I just thought it's not the injury in itself, it's the recovery time.
Yes.
And the things that can come because of it, no? So once I said, oh, well, okay, I need to go to the gym. I need to do this. I prefer to pay the money. And he's watching what I'm doing. He's telling me what I'm doing. So I have a less of a possibility of injuring myself, no? And I just started before the pandemic. So I was very sad that I had to finish because I was just getting into the swing of going to the gym, which I'm not a fan of, but and I was just losing my embarrassment of going in front of the people. So mentally, I was just coming okay. Physically, I was just going, and then it was the pandemic, and then I never went again, for example. But you have to be very careful. I laugh sometimes because people said, I said, whoa, how did you break your arm? Or how did you break your leg? Oh, playing football. And I thought, ooh, sport. It's a very dangerous thing.
Yes.
Right, girls, we're just going to stop for a minute and then we will come back.
Okay.
Mhm.